toughest job in town, but I'm sure I'd find other things far more difficult. So I'm ditching my regular job and trying something completely different. This is my work experience. And this week, I'm an RAF fighter pilot. Someone somewhere was taking the piss. A fighter pilot. It takes me 3 gin and tonics to get on a normal plane. I've seen Top Gun a few times, but that doesn't make you Baron von Richthofen. But I headed to RAF Valley in Anglesey for the hell of it, and was warmly welcomed by Warrant Officer Beatty.
Mr. Gilbert, get your hands out of your pockets and come and stand in front of me. Stand still. We have a few rules here. My senior NCO will tell you exactly what they are in his nice, polite way.
Shaving? There's a present from me, and in fact, it'll be used at your next available opportunity. Timing's 9 o'clock you're supposed to be here, 50 minutes late.
Mr. Gilbert, the Royal Air Force never do late.
Understand that one? It's not hard to say.
Martin off, Sergeant.
When I give the right plan, quick march, step off with your left foot, swing your arms, show the height. Do you understand that? You can even walk, can't you? I'll give it a go. By the left, quick march. Left, right, left, right. Oh my God, monkeys can do this.
I couldn't even do the RAF walk, let alone fly. As Beatty marched me off to some sort of building, I was as confused as a footballer trying to board a plain yogurt.
Get yourself in that building, Gilbert.
Inside I met my mentor, Flight Lieutenant Richard Dennis. He knew more about fast jets than a horse with a bladder infection, and had trained some of the RAF's best fighter pilots.
So we're gonna get you fitted out, sort you out through some sims, and then we're gonna take you flying towards the end of the week, and hopefully you'll learn how to fly a fast jet.
How many days training am I getting?
You're gonna get 4 days before you get airborne.
And what do you need? What did you have?
5 years.
You could fit everything I know about flying onto Tom Cruise, so there was no time to lose. We got all dolled up for a tour of the base. First stop, the control tower thing, where we found the big boss, Station Commander Pete Craycroft.
Well, welcome to Valley. It's the home of number 4 Flying Training School. We have a number of tasks we've got to do before we allow them to fly. But you'll be flying at the Hawk T2. It's an advanced training aircraft. It's quite complex, it's fast, pulls lots of G. Generally we fly around at about 7 miles a minute at low level.
My head was spinning like a panda in a lap dancing club. Less is more, they say, and the more questions I asked, the less I wanted to do this.
How much does a Hawk T2 cost?
T2 is about £15 million.
Why is there a big red phone with the words crash written on it?
Just in case.
Next, Richard took me to the medical centre for some tests, because there was no point getting all worked up about crashing one of these planes if I didn't fit in one in the first place. Medics Sarah and Jared would take my particulars.
The ejection seat that you sit in, what we don't want is your legs to be too long at a certain point and potentially lose your legs if you were to eject from the aircraft and things.
I've always enjoyed having legs, so my mood was losing altitude fast. I was having serious doubts about the whole bloody thing.
I'm hoping that the result of this is that I don't fit in an ejector seat and can't fly.
So far, your sitting height actually sits in our shifts. You've got 2 more measurements to go yet. You never know, you might get lucky.
Come on, legs. Come on, legs. Come on, legs.
1, 2. Again, within the
Bollocks!
Congratulations, you fit safely into an ejection seat.
Oh, well done, legs. I fitted perfectly. But I knew I wasn't physically fit, so there was still hope.
Okay, Rhod, you ready for your fitness test? Have you done one before, have you?
Of course not.
No. This test requires you to run between 2 markers placed 20 metres apart, reach each marker in time with a beat. Okay, well, I've got a chance. I don't exercise at all.
I've never done a f***ing bleep test, but if I could just fail this f***ing bleep test, I could bleep off home.
Okay then, Gilbert, get those legs working. Good effort.
And the f***ing bleep test was just the bleeping start.
So move on to the sit-ups. Try to do one more. Okay, good effort. Okay, well done, you've just passed your RAF fitness test.
Passed the fitness test.
Well done.
Damn, I'd passed all the initial entry tests, and now I knew what RAF stood for. Rod's absolutely The next day was my first day at the flying school, and my new best friend and co-pilot, Richard, showed me where we'd all be sitting.
As we'd say over here, this is going to be your office.
Oh my God.
Okay, welcome to your working environment for the next few days.
The thought of being in this, for real, in the air, is terrifying. How is this happening, Rich?
I My first lesson was cockpit class, taught by retired squadron leader Gary Bruff, but I was struggling to concentrate. Maybe it was feng shui, but something about the furniture was bothering me.
So what we're going to do today is introduce you to the electrical system of the Hawk T2.
I tried to focus on Bruffy's cockpit grammar, but diagrams of electronics boards have always been my weakness.
Is it normal to get very turned on by that charge?
Very.
I hadn't seen this many knobs since the Tory party conference, and like a man with a million bottles of milk on his doorstep, I was finding it hard to take it all in.
Here comes the exciting bit. You ready? These are your switches. Do you think you touch them while you're flying?
No.
No, you do not touch those. So far, you've passed 100% on which switches to do and what not to do with the switches.
Yeah, that's because I'm not allowed to touch any of the switches so far.
Yes.
Can't we just tape up the ones I'm not allowed to touch?
No, you have to control yourself and not touch. So there will be some touching.
Oh, good.
But not too much touching. There you go. Coming to the sweetie shop.
Whoa! Next up, the little bit of touching Bruffy was on about. This would be my first taste of flying, without flying.
All of our flying training devices.
I should tell you, I haven't played a computer game since Chucky Egg in 1983.
Okay, Rhod, step straight onto the seat, sit down, facing forwards.
Start with the basics. Right, is it normal to be slightly nervous at this point?
No, most people are fairly chilled out about this. This is pretend.
I know, I'm sitting here, there's a wall in front of me, the room is carpeted, it couldn't be in any safer environment, and yet I'm still feeling a little nervous.
The simulator couldn't take off because it was screwed to the floor and had no wings, so Bruffy said I could touch whatever I wanted.
I'm used to computer screens, but on mine it says file, print, and on this one it says missiles and stuff, and that's obviously a bit of a culture shock for me. Have you ever pressed those buttons in a real, live environment?
Yes.
How does that feel?
Morally?
In every way.
You're trained, you do your training, you do what you're told. It's a moral question, isn't it? Could you physically do that? Physically go to a place, select the weapon?
See, I instinctively think, no. No, I couldn't. Is knowing that up front a total barrier to...
Well, I think before you go down the careers information office and ask that question, it's something that they'll probably ask you very early on. What do you think of it? You talk to most people, and they're always going to question what they do. It's not an unhealthy thing, is it? You just can't have people questioning it at that moment in time.
If I was going to learn to fly this thing, I'd have to park my thoughts about the bombs, and I couldn't just sit there. So Bruffy moved me on. Cautiously, I checked my mirrors, indicated and released the handbrake.
Just get used to going left and right with the rudders. Quick, harder. Take the next right. Don't go to that post. Come left. Do not hit that post. Right, follow that yellow line.
I couldn't take off, so I might as well have been in a Nissan Micra simulator. But Bruffy took things up a notch and got us airborne. All I had to do now was keep the stick thing steady.
That is horrific. There's something a millimetre the wrong way and you're upside down.
Richard came to check my progress, but I was taken to flying like a duck to lava. In just a few days he'd be Maverick, I'd be Goose, but at this rate we'd both be Pate.
Every time you roll, just pull back slightly, so you're about to pull up. Panic. Did I crash then? You did. Yeah. Straight into the ground. Straight into the ground and through it. On the positive side, I did crash into the airport. You did. Into the terminal there.
On the negative side, we'd both be dead, and I'd get a row. The next stage of my training was less about flying in a jet, and more about flying out of one.
You sit on a tube, and the gases expand, and they will fire you up the rail. A wire is pulled, which is attached to a live rocket system, and then the rocket system will shove you up into the air at 150 feet.
Awesome. Any problems, I could just pull a little handle, and I'd disappear into space on a glorified kitchen chair. And that was just the start of a fun-packed day out.
We're going to go through some of the parachute drills. We're going to talk through what's going to happen to you from as soon as you eject in, as soon as you hit in the floor.
As if hurtling back to earth under a giant pair of French knickers wasn't enough, I had to learn to steer them, because I'd soon be hitting the ground harder than a newborn giraffe.
All you're going to do now is just get into the parachute position, obviously take all of your toggles. You see some smoke, that's the landing site there, so if you start steering...
Oh, bollocks.
Right, you pull your right hand right down.
Oh, come on, it's not working.
Try and straighten up.
Go on, huh?
Okay, they are quite hard things to steer.
Quite hard? I've driven tractors with better steering than this.
Quite hard was the greatest understatement since God told Noah his ark would need to be pet-friendly. Maybe I'd be better at landing.
I was near it.
I couldn't even fall over. My dreams of being a professional footballer were over. With more practice, I'd avoid dying when I hit the ground, but ejecting over sea would be a lot more problematic. I'd have to be very lucky to land in an indoor swimming pool, and if I landed in the sea, I was going to drown, unless I could escape by parachute and assemble a life raft.
In a cold sea, trying to release your parachute to do the stuff you need to do. The thought of it is just mind-boggling.
My mind didn't have to boggle for long. We were at Holyhead Harbour. This was no drill, it was for real. Well, it was a drill, but it was a real drill. I had to prove I could get rescued if I ejected over sea.
I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to do this properly, but I'm not especially worried, because if it goes right, then I get rescued. And if it goes really badly wrong, then I get properly rescued. For real.
Like a masochistic mackerel, we headed out to sea in search of worse conditions. Meanwhile, somewhere above Anglesey, a rescue helicopter had been scrambled, and it had my name on it.
This stage really is just about keeping in mind the drill, keeping in mind the order of things. It's all regimented, it's all drilled into you.
I wouldn't be allowed anywhere near a fast jet unless I could pass this survival test by not dying. As soon as I hit the cold water, I'd have a few seconds to struggle free of my parachute, inflate a life raft, get in it, and wait for the helicopter.
You eject out of your pool. You're now under your parachute at 5,000 metres. Go through your mid-level drills.
Canopy, check.
Yep.
Try and shake out any kinks. Visor,
Yep.
up. Oxygen mask, off. Life preserver.
Yep.
Feeling like I know these drills. It's just a question of whether I can do them once the water moves everything in the cold
Like I
water.
say, and yes, you're going to go in that water. Don't go flippy, just grip yourself and do your drills. Yep.
Grip yourself and do your drills.
I gripped myself, but I couldn't afford to piss about. As a human being, I'm 60% water, but the sea is nearly all water and really knows what it's doing.
Ejected it. 0 feet, go in the water.
Cold water hit me. With the helicopter circling, I struggled against my really watery foam and battled to get into my life raft. But most of the sea had got in with me, and there wasn't room in there for both of us. It's absurd to say that I'd passed. I'd never felt so helpless, until I found myself cradled in the arms of a rescuer like an orphan chimp. As my new mum got me safely in the chopper, I thought my ordeal was over, but it was out of the seasick frying pan and into the airsick fire. As the helicopter threw me about, my guts flew round the room like an escaped canary. I'd learned that my stomach was weaker than valid toilet paper, and that wasn't good news.
Got mixed emotions, chuffed at myself that I did the drill as well, but mainly terrified. As if that was any indication what it's going to be like in a fast jet, it's going to be bloody horrible. Because I can only imagine that it's 500 times worse than that bloody jet.
Even though I'd passed all the ejection drills, there was still a long way to go. Back at the flying school, Richard confirmed my worst fears about flying. The fast jet would be an F-load worse than the chopper, thanks to something called G.
It's extremely important to be aware of what's happening to your body under G. As we start to pull G, the blood begins to drain into your legs, and the heart then has to work harder to increase the blood pressure in your head.
Like a messed up Sesame Street, my nightmares were all going to be brought to me by the letter G. As the jet accelerated and cornered, the pesky G-force would suck the blood out of my brain.
If all the blood's drained from your retina, your vision goes completely. So you're blacked out, you'll still be able to hear, but you won't be able to see. That is a pretty scary event because that's a precursor to the biggie, which is the G loss of consciousness. Absolute incapacitation for 12 seconds. Now at low level, you have not got 12 seconds to be blacked out because you're at 250 feet doing 500-600 miles an hour. If you get a slight descent on, it's game over.
The closest I've come to flying a £15 million Hawk is a £7 kite. Now I have to do it blind and unconscious. Luckily, the doctor had a technique that could help.
we teach pilots an anti-G straining manoeuvre, a technique that physically helps them cope with the G. So you hold, tense.
I'd be fighting to keep blood in my brain, while naughty G-force did everything it could to suck it out. If I didn't do this, I could pass out, so I was straining like a hen to the layer saxophone.
Only hold it for a bit and then let go. Don't hold it for too long because you will pass out. So you'll pass out? You will pass out. If you go for G and you hold your breath for too long, you could pass out because of the G that you're pulling.
Oh, this G could F right off. If I didn't do this anti-G thing, I'd pass out. But if I did it wrong, I'd pass out as well. One way or the other, this was going to be a passing out parade. There was no way of knowing how I'd react to G before I got up there. All I could do for now was go back to flying school. Because never mind G, so far my pilot test results had been a big fat F. But with more expert tutoring from my co-pilot Rich, I was still no goose, but at least I wasn't a total turkey anymore.
Pretty good. I'm starting to get a hang of the controls in a way that I never thought I could. So we say confidence is building, Rhod. Confidence has just dragged its ass off the floor.
When I first arrived here, it was inconceivable that I would fly a fast jet. It was a crazy idea. It still is a crazy idea, but I've gained a little bit of confidence. I've gone from thinking never in a million years to right now thinking never in 1,000 years. And I need to get myself into a position where it's now. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm a damn sight closer than I was. And it was a good job, because unbelievably, I only had one day left. I found myself in the costume department, being dressed up like a real pilot. What the hell was going on? I even had a pair of magic trousers that would help me fight G.
This is what prevents blood draining from your head to your legs. When you pull G, the sensor in the aircraft will automatically inflate the G trousers.
Every time I pulled G, like a sex doll who's done a first aid course, my trousers would inflate and help me stay alive.
You feel it inflating?
Yeah, big time.
In the jet, this will be instant.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The pressure is amazing. Wow.
You've got sick bags for you. Is 4 enough?
No.
Pockets here.
I now look like a real fast jet pilot, but Bruffy and Rich had to satisfy themselves that I was ready to take the controls. My hands were shaking like an octopus on a meet and greet.
After you, Rhod. Jeepers. This is the sim. Sim's inside the big dome. So we're going to go through the doors now and let's get you strapped into the aircraft. This is a proper sim. Pretty realistic. In fact, it'll replicate the jet entirely, apart from pulling G. Definitely, without people get airsick in the air.
In full kit, this would give me the closest experience yet to flying a fast jet. Put the skills I'd learned to one final test, in the Dame Judi Dench of all flight simulators.
There's all sorts of strange things going through my mind, from fear, anxiety, a little bit of excitement. One good thing is that a lot of this stuff now looks familiar. Don't get me wrong, there's still a shitload I've got no idea about.
Surface model 14010. Departure your Goose 42722 for London Control. Wow, this sim is amazing. Your brakes. Okay, hold there now. Click the takeoff. Enjoy. Climb got 1 full power. Full power. Nose is tickling. Right, let it go. That's letting it go. Letting the brakes go. Steer straight. That's it. Keep going straight. Wait for 130 knots and be and stop and lift the stick back down. Fully left now to get a feel for it. I'm not doing this trick for you just wait a minute. Come on, I'm just happy cruising along here.
I might have been happy pootling around, but Bruffy had other ideas. The little sod wanted to be the wind beneath my wings and see how I'd cope with some turbulence.
Just got a bit too high. You're doing it! Sit tight! Sit tight!
I could couldn't get the jet back under control. If I'd had an ejector seat, I'd be lodged waist deep in the ceiling by now. It was a terrifying glimpse of what could happen for real.
You're knocked down.
Yeah, knocked down. 7 hours. Okay, just about to recover.
Bruffy reset the simulator. This was my last chance to prove myself. Hurtling through a CGI North Wales, it was testament to Bruffy and Richard's expertise that they'd polished my flying turd. I was feeling more and more in control. All well and good, but to demonstrate that I was ready, I was going to have to land this thing.
The next event, Rhod, we're going to get you to land at RAF Valley. I'll give it a go. It's not my strong point. Look how you've come on today.
Richard and Bruffy guided me home, and as the runway came into view, I knew I had to do better than last time, because my last simulated plane was still a simulated write-off.
You see the other now? Yeah. You know, the sound approach to land. Hold it there. Hold it there. Keep coming down. Right, now try and fly level now, because now you get slow, it gets a bit tricky. Take the car back now. Hold it there. Hold it there. Keep coming down. Routine drill. Thought I'd just come down and have a look. Tomorrow morning I go up in one of those. I would never have thought it possible a few days ago. I can see it now. After the proper simulated today, I'm feeling quite confident in myself and in Rich and in the team around me. What I don't know yet is the whole physical stuff. I'm going to cope with the G-force and whether my anti-G straining manoeuvres, whether I can do it. That is still a big, big unknown. But one thing I do know is that I'm going to find out pretty damn soon, because I am pretty sure going to give it a go.
The day of our flight arrived. The ground crew prepared our jet, but there was still no guarantee I'd be on it. The first time I came in here, I was hoping I would fail. And now, desperately hoping that I'm going to pass and be fit to fly. If I had a cold, I was finished. Fast jet pilots can't fly unless they can equalise. Because altitude plus pressure plus stuffy noses equals burst eardrums. Come on ears, come on nose, you pitiful proboscis. It seemed absurd that after all that pain, fear, learning, straining, seasickness and air sickness, it would all come down to the results of this medical. A simple yes or no.
Congratulations, you're fit to fly the fast jets.
It was on. Time for the worst coffee morning I've ever been to. An RAF mission brief from Squadron Commander Dan Beard.
We had a target deep in our simulated enemy territory, which we had to go out and attack. The aim within that is to evade and possibly engage an air threat, which we'll do, and then finally to neutralise that surface target.
As Dan demonstrated the manoeuvres we'd be pulling, I really didn't like the look of it. I felt my G-pads filling up, then realised I didn't have them on yet. For most of it I sat there clueless, like a sausage dog watching Countdown. But my ears pricked up when Dan said those three little words.
Eject, eject, eject. And if you remember the drills you've been going through this week, you will grab that handle with both hands, pull slightly upwards, having assumed the position, and you'll be out of the aircraft. That's the last time you'll hear anyone say eject, 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 unless it's for real.
Got a bit clammy.
So if no one's got any questions, that concludes the brief. Let's walk.
I think my thoughts at this stage are thoughts that you don't need to hear about. A lot of, if I die, will and testament stuff, legal stuff mainly, admin. It's a hell of a lot to remember, and the complete unknown
jet, I found it hard to believe that in just a few moments I'd be taking control of this £15 million broomstick. Rich was in first class, I was flying economy. My legs were as cramped as Chris Hoy in a hula skirt, but at least I had a window seat.
Bravo Tower, clear for takeoff, steps we're in 340, 9 knots. Takeoff, Andrew.
Yeah, for takeoff. We're off. I did this on the sim yesterday, but you're going to do it today, Rich. Yeah, I'll do it today if you're alright with that. I'm fine with that, mate. We're a pair today. There's no going back now. There's no going back, my friend. Big excitement and fun is starting to come up a little bit. I do need a piss though. Oh, mate, yeah, I'll just do it in your pants. Waiting on full throttle. We're now just under 100% full off. Richard's just taking his feet off the brakes. So we're going for 130 knots before we take off. It feels pretty quick. It's just absolutely picture postcard stunning.
Rich had felt the wind in his hair more times than a quality controller in a farting hat factory, but I was enjoying this all-new experience.
Right, we're doing a bit of close manoeuvring now. But this isn't close enough. It feels like I could reach out and touch them. How close are we to our total wingspan's 32 feet, so we're probably about 15 foot. It's so close to 400 miles an hour, 40,000 feet.
My enjoyment came to an abrupt end when Rich tried, and I quote, a bit of manoeuvring.
Right, it's going to be a bit of manoeuvring. Good to manoeuvre, Rod. Good to manoeuvre. Stay tuned, Oh my God, was that G? Energy, mate. That's one thing that the Simulator can't give you. And feel the G-cars as it feels in your body cling to the seat, trying to do an anti-G-spin maneuver that is pretty damn hard. I have to say I'm feeling it a bit. You alright? I'm okay, but I'm definitely feeling it a bit. You alright, Ron? Yeah, it's coming off me, just feeling very queasy.
This was really hard. The only time I've pulled 4 Gs was in Scrabble, and there was nothing I could do that time either. As we pulled more and more Gs, I was straining like a man trying to pass a bowler hat, but my inexperience was showing. In Top Gun style, Richard and the others were feeling the need for speed. I was just feeling the urge to splurge. I was sicker than a mouse who's drunk a litre of white lightning, but that was by the by. It was too late to phone in sick. It was time for me to take the controls.
So I'm going to roll your wings level. You're heading south, 230 knots. Rod, you have control. I have control, man. 230 knots. Holding it exactly as you've handed it to me. It's a very, very strange feeling. You've driven the sim and this is sort of the same thing, except that it should chop out of the sky. You're going to put the power on. Go all the way to 100. All the way to 100, okay. Do you want to swing around back to the left? Back to the left. Bring the nose down slightly. Good man. I'm going to set there 400 miles an hour into this left. Just hold it up, keep going.
In the diving turn, we started pulling G and I panicked. The sim hadn't prepared me for this.
You take over. I have control. You have control.
Controlling the jet under the physical strain was way too much.
You alright? Yeah. Good effort? That's good. I was dropping and back into the left. We hit G's. I was extremely uncomfortable for a minute. I'm very glad to hear you say I have control. Very glad.
I'd had a go, but I was no fighter pilot. Rich and the others were made of something different, because it was beyond me in more ways than I could ever imagine. I was immensely relieved when we finally touched down. I had so many sick bags, I thought they were going to charge me excess baggage.
Well done, mate. Good effort. You look a bit peaky. Get you out. I'll let you look after those. been very, very hard. Tremendously difficult mental and emotional things done in a most demanding physical environment. And it's all about training somebody so that they can do that several times a day in, day out, in real theatres of war, real operations. Dedication to do this, a skill. You have to be one hell of a person to do that, and it is too much for me.
Coming up on Newsnight, an interview with Boris Nemtsov's daughter and the suspension of Jeremy Clarkson.